We need people back to work. America was the greatest workforce there was, and is, and will be. That's where we have to go. It's a two-pronged attack. Cutting, what do we really need? What can we do without? I'm preaching to the choir here because District 1 has always been doing more with less. But we have to share that vision with the rest of America. It has to go to our youth as well. That's how we have to speak. Now, I know I'm talking to the Tea Party. So I want to tell you, nobody should speak for the Tea Party in Washington, D.C. It's a grassroots movement. You need to have different eyes from outside. Because when you have it from the inside, you corrupt it. You use it for personal gain and personal advantage. I will not join the Tea Party caucus for that reason. I'm not a fan of Michelle Bachmann for that reason. She's a great lady, but we're misusing the premise of the Tea Party. This is your way of connecting and holding the feet of those that you elect to the fire. I love hot feet. I would suggest that I direct you to the Senate. We went painstakingly through the CR process. And who was holding it up? The Senate. You got 33 people running for your election. It's down to 27. I don't remember how many Democrats. It was originally 10 Republicans, 23 Democrats. Holding the fire all the way across the board. I don't care. You want good people. Our forefathers looked at different vantage points, what people saw, and you've done that. You elected a dentist. You elected a rancher. You elected an all-pro lineman. Owned by he's big. He's 6'8", he's 330, and he's smart. He is gifted. You got a pizza maker in downtown Chicago. You got an attorney general. You got a comptroller. You got an airplane pilot. You have a military, a Marine. You have an Army and an Air Force, and they always argue who's the best. But to see that kind of vision, you got moms, you got dads, you got grandpas, you got uncles and aunts. Status quo doesn't work anymore, folks. Status quo, the way we do business, doesn't work anymore. And I'm going to leave you with another story. In the health care bill, no matter what you feel of it, in the law, there was a provision, and it said to the Secretary of Health and Human Services, give us a number in which we function from mini-med plans. Just define the number. Is it $750,000? Is it $1 million? Is it $2 million? That's all it said. I didn't think that the Secretary of Health and Human Services had a great big surplus of money, nor did I think that CMS or Central Medicaid Services had a surplus of money. But here's what the Secretary did. The Secretary rented 2 whole floors of a top high-rise, non-negotiated, non-bid out. From what we can tell, we have up to 100 people involved in the process. We have given over 1,000 waivers at costs of tens of millions of dollars to the American public. Please define for me what that means when you say to establish a number and we go through that whole process. And we still as Congress cannot find out that number and where it came from. That is your dollars. That is your tax dollars. That is services that should be delivered. The committees I've sat on, government and oversight is important because it can ask the question. You start with the accountants. You can talk to the agencies. They can't even tell you. And they're basing their numbers off self-reliant numbers or self-given numbers from the agencies. Top 3 offenders, Department of Defense, Homeland Security, HHS. We've allocated, from what we can find, is over 120-some billion dollars in waste that we can acknowledge. It's greater than that. And for all of you that are business folks, when you're having trouble in tough times, you go find the waste. You skinny it down. You make it more efficient. And you find out what you really have to have and what you don't. That's where we are, folks. This next year's budget is exactly that. You've got the opportunity to make a difference. Congress has asked the questions for you. It's going to be an interesting time. You've now seen the Senate come up with some other ideas for budgets, or at least they're talking about it. That's better than what was happening. Because in talking back and forth, I would have loved to see a counteroffer from the Senate. most people will say our greatest threat is this, is our deficit. By the way, if you want to close down the government, it doesn't pay. You actually pay more because you have contracts that you're going to stop. You're going to have to pay them back. You're going to have to pay interest on those back. Because we did sit down with Newt Gingrich and talk about the shutdown of the government back in the early 90s. It doesn't pay. But it has to be a philosophical change. What is the America that you dream of? Are you going to be the first to give our kids worse off than we found it? Are we going to address our problems? Are we going to address it properly? Or are we going to go with the status quo? And in the status quo, we all lose. It's over. The American dream is over. I want to thank you so very much for coming out tonight and sharing some time with me. Because the one thing that we have to do is start to listen. Share the facts, share the information, and allow you to be participants in that process. That's what government was all about. For the people, by the people, not dictated at the people. If you dream it, you can make it. If you dream it, they will come. It's amazing what can happen. You just got to dream it. And then you got to put your back into it. I want to thank you so very, very much. I look forward to your questions, and I look forward to having accessibility to me at any time. Thank you. Questions? You're welcome. Are we going to do questions?
Okay.
We're going to do questions?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We got questions. We got a lady right up here in front that wants a question. Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
This is about the debt. According to news reports, GE earned over $14 billion in 2010. It not only paid zero taxes, but received in excess of $3 billion in tax credit. Do you agree that this is fair and right? And if not, what do you propose to do about it?
First of all, we can all agree that our tax system is broken. It is broken the way it is. And one of the things that was addressed in Paul Ryan's plan is actually looking at the tax structure. I don't care if you believe in fair, flat, consumption tax. We've got to have some problems or have some solutions. There are better minds than me. I'm just a dentist. But you know, we have to get people together to look and remedy that tax system. Second of all, this is a world economy. And we are competing. And why are corporations going overseas and taking jobs with them? It's because we have the highest corporate tax. If you go back in history, when you lower the corporate tax, you actually increase revenues. It actually works. Go back in history and look. It never has failed. Tax and spending has never got us out of a hole. It's got us deeper in a hole. So the process is wrong. We have to get it recorrected. And there's already independent commissions coming together and based on looking at that opportunity. She's running right back here. Oh, I will. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'd like to know why.
Hey, can I stop you for 1 second? Can you tell me who you are? Oh, thank you. Thanks, Dia.